Fans Forum, have we got anybody like to contribute here on this show?
Yeah, we do. We got a number of comments here, and this is from Michael Griffin. He says McCarthy threw his staff under the bus to save his job. Jones should have named Dan Quinn head coach. That will happen a year from now.
Well, I'll tell you that's a great point. The interesting observation is if Jerry is questioning Mike McCarthy's leadership to the point, get rid of all your guys, why didn't you just get rid of McCarthy and go after Sean Payton where there is a relationship? Unless Jerry doesn't want to pay the 2 first-round draft pick compensation to get Sean Payton's rights from the New Orleans Saints. If he walked into that meeting, and I'm led to believe he did, he said changes must be made, and they wound up hitting the eject button on now 8 assistant coaches. Why don't you just get rid of Mike McCarthy and go a different direction and go get a guy? And I do agree here that with Mike that a year from today, we might be talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, yeah, you can bring in Peyton. It's like a turnkey solution, man. You got a front office, coaching staff, the whole thing.
Except you got to pay a steep price for compensation.
Right. You got to pay a ton, and it might set you back. But it's just interesting how, they're so quick to hit the eject button, so quick to find a scapegoat, so quick to just to demonstrate that they're doing something, when in fact they may be undermining their whole situation.
I concur with you wholeheartedly, but one thing we know about the NFL, pressure, and 2 things we know about the NFL, there will be changes.
There will be changes. Yeah, it's a huge pressure to win, and a win now. Here's one from Michael Griffin. He says, officiating was indeed suspect, but they're going to protect the star quarterbacks, got to steer clear of the named QBs.
Well, most of the officiating, I think, has been rock solid, and the league has really taken that step across the line to protect these quarterbacks, late hits, accidental hits, things of that nature. They are evaluating rule changes for next season that would include possible use of instant replay, coach's challenge on roughing the passer calls. Was it intentional? Was it accidental? Was he pushed into the guy? Did he hit the guy with a blow to the helmet? Or did he get pushed into the guy and there was helmet-to-helmet contact? There's a lot of debate and dialogue in the competition committee in the NFL, Michael. They're going to go ahead, and they may move the replay challenge to also include hits on quarterbacks. Now, I don't know if that's going to incorporate open field hits, helmet-to-helmet, safety on running back, wide receivers, etc. But they're evaluating what goes on with quarterback hits and might be part of the challenge system.
Yeah, well, again, I like challenge systems because they can review it and get it right. But so much of this is like, bang, bang kind of play. It's hard to make a truly objective call. So, what is roughing the passer? It's hard to define what that really means.
Yeah. Next question on the Fans Forum we go.
All right, here we go. We got one here from Manny Fran. He says, the worst thing about the penalty at the end of the game is it robbed us of a potentially great overtime.
Well, that is true. I guess we got a viewer in Cincinnati. My gut feel is it was an accidental hit, and Josephy Ossai was going 100 miles an hour full barrel to try to get to Mahomes to keep him in bounds so they could get to overtime. But he did clobber the guy, and he did clobber the guy. Mahomes was a good 2 to 4 feet into the white area, which is out of bounds, and they both went flying into the bench area. It was just a guy going all out to make a football play. Unfortunately, where the football play occurred was out of bounds. I agree with you. It would have been an unbelievable overtime. And then today we would have been arguing about who won the coin toss and went the length of the field in a 5-minute drive and won the game without giving the other guy possession of the ball because the clock ran out.
Right.
But there's no doubt that Mahomes is just bleeping brilliant.
Yeah,
and there's no doubt that Burrow is a spectacular leader and player. But I think at the end of the day, you saw Kansas City do things that really impacted Joe Burrow's ability to stay in the pocket and find the right guy and goes through her progressions because they did what Buffalo did not do the week before. They blitzed. Of course, Cincinnati blitzed. Cincinnati came totally out of character with all those blitzes on Patrick Mahomes. The difference was Mahomes sidestepped a bunch of them, moved the pocket, threw some weird-looking frozen duck passes, but got away with it because Kansas City won. So it's too bad for Ossai, but time will pass. He'll learn from this, and tough blow for the Cincinnati Bengals to come home because they're close to being an elite franchise, or maybe just because they have an elite quarterback. I tend to think Kansas City is an elite franchise.
Yeah, they're both great teams, both great quarterbacks. I mean, both great head coaches. The hit at the end of the game on Ossai, that was one the refs got right. You know, we could question a lot of the other ones, but it is interesting that Manny brings up the topic of it denied us from another overtime because they changed the overtime rules. And I couldn't remember exactly how they changed it. And I was just kind of curious to see if it would happen, but I guess we didn't get there.
Well, we'll see what happens in the Super Bowl, but what a way to cap off what I think has been a spectacular NFL season. I feel bad for San Francisco. Cincinnati fan, you're not feeling as bad as they are in the Bay Area right now. This guy's got a frown on his face because he's a closet 49er fan. But I think we're headed to a great Super Bowl. My goodness. And we got 2 weeks, A, to get these teams healthy, and B, to talk about it and get amped up about it. And it'll be fun. And I can't wait till we get to midweek and the TV ratings come out, because I got to believe the Sunday TV ratings supersede what we saw last weekend when they had 30.8 million for the one playoff game on Sunday night. So, NFL is just rocking and rolling.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is by far the dominant sport in America. The TV ratings back it up. And I mean, you just hear, it's not just sports fans talking about these games. It's been on all of the traditional news anchors have all been talking about it. So, and we're going to have to go through 2 weeks of hype. I liked it when it was only a 1 week break after the championship games, but we'll see how it goes. And they're going to do the Pro Bowl, right? With the flag football and all the other kind of skills competitions. I guess that'll be in the tweener weekend. So we'll see.
Do we need that? Do we really need that?
No, we don't really need
unless
that.
Unless it meant a trip to Hawaii and Aloha Stadium, then I'd say, yeah, Pro Bowl was great for those of us in working media. You got a couple more fans forum items you want to post there?
Yeah, we got one here. This is from Michael Griffin. He says, Bowles has 1 year left. Gonna trust Trask? Not likely. Probably go get Derek Carr, who I think could really be good with Evans, Godwin, and R. White.
We will talk quarterbacks on Thursday. Do not miss our weekly Thursday podcast. But there's going to be a lot of activity as it relates to veteran quarterbacks, absolutely for sure. And I do agree with you. Bowles is on the hot seat now because of not what happened in the injury-ravaged season, but how he's handled this. But this falls at the front door of the ownership. The ownership is letting him purge his staff, and the ownership believes in that coach. We'll see if the ownership is right or not.
Yeah. Tampa is such an interesting franchise. I mean, they were an expansion team in the 70s, I think, right?
John McKay, first coach.
Yeah, there we go. And
all-time losing streak.
Yeah, they were awful for so long. And then remember, they took the Rams to the NFC Championship game. And what was it, like a 9-0 game or something like that? And then they just had kind of their ups and downs. I remember Steve Young played for them for a little while. And so it's been interesting to see them rise up and become one of the better franchises in the NFL. So hopefully Arians will help them get their house in order and bring them back to, the forefront.
If Arians still has his office next Monday, if he wants to come back and work, and I tend to think that's rather doubtful. Hey, listen.